Last night, a group of farmers and food policy experts gathered here in New York for an event to mark World Food Day. Two of the speakers join us here today. Raj Patel, writer and activist, author of Stuffed and Starved, The Hidden Battle for World Food System, formerly worked for the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, the United Nations. He's at Food First. Welcome you both to Democracy Now! Let's start with Raj Patel. What should we know right now about the food crisis? I mean, I haven't heard it mentioned in any of the debates, for example.
Right, and I mean, as usual in the debates, poverty is the issue that people never talk about.
Increasing numbers of people leaving the farms and moving to cities or to other countries?
Well, there's been a long trend in international policy, particularly authored by organizations like the World Bank, to turf farmers off their land. Small farmers, sustainable farmers, are considered inefficient. And so under the rubric of bringing efficiency to agriculture, they've been kicked off the land and have been ushered into urban areas where increasingly now there's going to be unemployment. Now, the tragedy is that small, sustainable and independent family farms, as Ben can well attest, are much more efficient, they're much more in harmony with the environment, and they're able to actually provide work and healthy, organic, sustainable produce to a much larger population than these big.
We make them pay. And the truth of the matter is, in most instances, the price these companies pay decades later is a fraction of their profits. And this is why it pays to keep these problems secret. And it makes you wonder what they might be keeping secret now. I have to say, we would never trust a company like Monsanto to tell the truth about a pollution problem or about a product.
Director of Organic Consumers Association, your response to Governor Vilsack and Brian Moore's depiction of him?
Well, the organic community and the sustainable ag community are very disappointed in the appointment of Vilsack as Secretary of Agriculture. You know, Obama promised us change. What he's given us here at best is small change. We've got a big problem. We need big change. This notion that genetically engineered crops can feed the world, or that, you know, corn-based ethanol and soybean-based biofuels can solve the energy crisis are, of course, completely discredited. If they're serious about solving the climate crisis, they need to take note of the fact that American industrial agriculture uses about 19% of all of our fossil fuels and cranks out about 37% of our climate destabilizing
Robert Wallace,
gas.
You've called it the NAFTA flu. Why?
Well, swine flu, in some ways, the pork industry is kind of correct. Swine flu is a bit of a misnomer, but not in the way they think. Because of the reasons I stated, it's actually comprised of influenzas that have typically infected swine, typically infected birds, and humans. But the problem is that it puts the onus on the swine as being the cause for why this kind of influenza has come about. And it's just that is simply not the case. The swine are not in the driver's seat. They're not in a position to organize themselves into what are now cities of pigs that stretch around the world. We really have to go back to the livestock revolution. Before World War II, poultry and pigs were basically farmed in backyard operations across this country. So we're talking about poultry flocks of the size of 70 chickens. After World War II, all those independent farming operations were, many of them were basically put under one roof and increasingly put under the control of particular corporations, Holly Farms, Tyson, Purdue, and